Hello, everybody. It is Mike again. I wanted to do a part two of the movies that kind of led me into horror. The first video that I did talked about some of the movies that I watched when I was a little boy. Most of them creature feature movies, such as The Blob, The Birds, and Jaws. Those were all movies that kind of led me into that creature feature phase, but there were other movies as I was growing up that I consider to be instrumental in my tastes in horror movies. Now, of course, my tastes are not the same as everybody's, nor should they be. So basically, the movies I like now were kind of formed in my younger years. I didn't see a whole lot of zombie movies. Actually, I didn't see any zombie movies as a kid. And I didn't see any like vampire movies except for The Howling. And, there are not a huge amount of werewolf movies that are out there that I particularly enjoy, but I don't particularly have anything against them. But these were movies that shaped my tastes in horror movies. And luckily, the great thing about movies, all movies, is that there's something out there for everybody. I mean, if you like the torture porn, good for you. I think that's great. Movies like Saw and all those things, I've watched those. I don't particularly hate them, but I don't really particularly love them. I own them. And the same with like most werewolf movies. I'm sorry, my TV screen is in my glasses, but so yeah, these are some of the movies that led quite little innocent Mike into the world of horror. One of the very, very first movies I remember watching as a little boy, and I remember it vividly, sitting upstairs. We lived in a two-story building. The bottom part was a tavern that my mom and dad owned. And my brother, sister, and I were sitting upstairs, and we watched this movie. And I remember my mom and dad being very angry because it had such an effect on me that as a little boy, there was no showers happening. It was only baths at that time, and a lot of times I didn't want to be naked because it just made me think, okay, that girl got killed and she was in the shower and she didn't have any clothes on. Yeah, it scared me to death. So yeah, the original Psycho with old Anthony Perkins scared me. And kind of started my love for slashers at the same time because I was completely fascinated by the whole thing. Another little creature feature movie that kind of led me into loving kind of the supernatural horror type things was a movie called Frogs. I saw this on regular TV, and it stars Ray Milland and Sam Elliott, and then a few other, some other characters. And the basis of this movie was there was this rich man was going to have a big party on his island, and so all of his family were there, and his help was there, and Sam Elliott ended up on the island because he had boat problems, and animals start going crazy. So if you know me, you know I hate spiders. Snakes I can deal with for the most part, but spiders, no. I am never going to own arachnophobia. But yeah, so we got spiders, we got snakes, we got crocodiles or alligators, we've got snapping turtles, of course, frogs, birds, all kinds of animals that are for some reason crazy and killing people. So some really interesting gory deaths in this movie. So if you haven't seen this, I got this off of Scream Factory, but I also have seen just the DVD or Blu-ray on its own on other things. And I've never seen The Food of the Gods. So, but this was a 2-pack or a double feature from Scream Factory. So I'll probably watch that eventually. Now, one of the other movies that kind of got me into the supernatural stuff was Carrie. I had read the book. I had read the book of Carrie, Stephen King's book Carrie, so I knew the story before I went and saw the movie. I loved the movie. I loved Sissy Spacek in the movie. Um, this movie was different, quite a bit different than the book for the most part. Um, Actually, the ending of the remake is closer to the book than this one is. So I like the remake. It didn't make my top 10 list, but I do like that remake. So this movie kind of led me into that Stephen King supernatural stuff. Unfortunately, it didn't make me like Pet Sematary, but I am going to give that movie another try since so many of you like it and so many of you hold it near and dear. I did buy a copy of it. I'm going to try it again. Of course, I was younger when I watched it, so my tastes have changed. So hopefully I'll enjoy that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to give the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise and the Chucky franchise another watch, um, because I'm kind of in the minority of people in the horror genre that like that sort of stuff. All right, Black Christmas. This was one of those movies I watched at my brother's house when I used to babysit for them. It was on their cable channel, and I loved it. I had no idea who any of the girls were. Of course, now we know who they are. But this movie, just that freaky voice on that phone with these girls, and then the whole thing with the unicorn, and yeah, good movie. Loved it. Just really turned me on to that kind of creature feature, or not creature feature, but the slasher. There was another one. I'll have to look it up, but maybe 10 to Midnight. I think they just put that out. I think that's another one where the guy's kind of creepy and stalks these girls, but I can't remember. I'm getting old. Another movie that I saw at my brother's house on cable was the original, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. This is the remake. I don't have a copy of the original. I need to get a copy of the original, but every time I go to get it, it's too expensive and I don't buy it. So, yeah, that one had Dawn Wells, who played Mary Ann on Gilligan's Island. I loved it. It was so awesome to see her in something other than Gilligan's Island. But yeah, the movie itself is terrifying. But yeah, another one that kind of kept me solid with the slashers. And of course, Michael, Halloween, the very first slasher movie I ever saw at a theater. I had seen movies like Jaws and Amityville Horror, stuff like that at the theater with my sister. But this was the first one I ever saw by myself, and the only reason I got in is because my friend Kim took tickets at the little town theater where I was from, and she let me in. She let me see this and a couple others that I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, Michael is probably my favorite. I will watch all of the remakes except for two of them. Are the sequels. I'm sorry, I will watch all of the sequels. I'm not a fan of the remakes, but I do enjoy all of the sequels to a certain extent. Resurrection is hard to enjoy, but I'll still watch it once in a while. It is definitely my least watched one, but yeah, that was my first. Ooh, I was scared to death when I came home too. And then finally, Friday the 13th, the original. Even though Jason wasn't in this one, and we find out that it was his mother, hopefully that's not a spoiler. Certainly everybody knows this one. But yeah, this was the other one that my friend Kim let me in because I was way too young to get in by myself. But yeah, loved it. Scared me to death. I'll never forget that scene, and it's probably the least scary scene in the movie, but when the first girl, Annie, gets killed, it just broke my heart because I thought she was so cute. And I had never seen anybody, like with the throat slit and all the blood coming out. That was That was kind of new to me, so it really kind of freaked me out. And of course, the Kevin Bacon scene freaked me out, and the act. I mean, they all did. So that's it. That is part 2 of my road into horror. I would love to hear what you guys like, and what started you down your paths. What was that one horror movie that you just loved so much that it kind of drew you in more into the horror genre? And if that's a zombie movie, good. Once again, I'm glad that we all have different tastes because we get different movies. It would be horrible if we all had to sit and watch the same horror movies or the same movies just because everybody was supposed to like it. Um, all you people out there that like found footage, good. I mean, I like a few of those too. So, all right, guys, that is it for part 2 of my journey. I hope you liked it. Come back and see me again. Thanks for everything you do. Remember to like and subscribe, and thanks for everything. Bye, guys.